The WAFB Podcast Network is sponsored by Neighbors Federal Credit Union.
All right, one final game for LSU before the bye week and the biggest game of the season. Ole Miss, South Alabama coming to town with Baton Rouge native Major Applewhite coaching the Jaguars. It's another opportunity for the Tigers to put together a dominant performance from quarter one to quarter four. We have not seen one of those this season. I thought it would come last week against UCLA, but that was more of a two-quarter effort there in the third and fourth quarters as the game was tied at 17, and the Tigers ended up winning by 17. 34-17. That's the most times I've said 17 in a sentence, I think, in my entire life. But anyways, let me tell you a little bit about South Alabama. A lot of people like this as a trap game, as an upset watch game, which I don't understand the whole trap game thing because LSU is top 15 in the country, yes, but they have played extremely underwhelming football at this point. So there's really nobody that they could play, minus maybe Kennesaw State, I don't know, no disrespect to those guys there, that they should be taking lightly looking past, especially when you consider the fact that they've got a bye week next. If Ole Miss was the next game and LSU had blown out UCLA and Nick Goles and stuff like that, yeah, maybe so, but I don't think that this is a trap game at all. Is it an upset alert game? Possibly, because South Alabama's got a very dangerous offense. They just went on the road to Boone, North Carolina, and beat Appalachian State 48-14, and that was a week after beating Northwestern State 87-10. You heard that right, 87-10, video game type numbers. So this offense can put up points. Obviously, LSU's defense has struggled a lot in the past 2 years. They've been a little bit better this season, but, you know, on any given day, any kind of offense can put together explosive plays and put up some points on this team because the Colonels did it, and if an FCS team could do it, no offense to the Thibodeau folks, but anybody could do it. So let me tell you about a couple of the impact players here. Gio Lopez is South Alabama's quarterback, a guy that didn't transfer in. He was recruited to South Alabama, played really well in the bowl game last year when he stepped in for their typical starter, and so far this season he's been really impressive. He's a dual-threat quarterback, can extend plays, is dangerous outside of the pocket, so if LSU doesn't have a spy on him and he's able to get loose, he'll pick up some yardage, but he'll also roll out the pocket and hit some, deep shots when he's able to extend some plays and create some broken plays. So he's a dangerous quarterback. You can't sleep on him. Their running back is a very good player, and he's got maybe the best name in college football, Fluff Bothwell, a true freshman. I was reading my preview magazine. This guy wasn't even in South Alabama's projected 4 deep, and he's all of a sudden become a superstar in this South Alabama run game. So he'll be a handful to tackle. He's a big, muscular guy. He's got good speed. Went for over 100 yards against the Demons there a couple weeks ago. But it's a 1-2 punch at running back. They also got a guy named Kentrell Bullock who played a decent amount last year. He's got 30 carries, over 200 yards, about 7 per touch, and 3 touchdowns. So you've got a couple of different running backs you got to deal with in that regard, not just one. Receiving-wise, 2 explosive threats. One guy was honorable mention all Sun Belt a couple of years ago. Missed most of last year with an injury, but he's returned to form and has pieced together some great games. Their leading receiver is named Jamal Pritchett, a former walk-on. It's actually a great story. So far this year, 26 catches for 354 yards and 4 touchdowns. So that's the guy that you certainly need to have an awareness level of where he is at all times. You'll put your best corner on him, which LSU's best corner isn't necessarily a best corner, but you'll probably put, Ashton Stamps on him because Zay Alexander's questionable. Not sure if he's going to play. If he does play, perhaps he'll cover Pritchett. So that'll be a tough matchup there. The offensive line was not really supposed to be that good for South Alabama, but they paved the way for a good run game. They've pass protected pretty well. They have 2 SEC transfers. The interior was kind of the question mark. I think there will be opportunities for Braden Swinson and Savion Jones to get after the quarterback and beat these guys. But I will say, they were supposed to be bad. They've actually been pretty good. Defensively, you're looking at a 4-man front for South Alabama. They've got a decent amount of production and guys that transferred in and returned in the defensive line room. It's not like an insanely good trench group. They only have 4 sacks this year. So in terms of pass rushing, they don't do that much. They don't do it very well, and obviously that's the strength of this LSU offensive line, is keeping Garrett Nussmeier off of his rear end. Behind that, they lost all 4 of their linebacker starters from last season, so they're replacing everybody there. I think that this might be an opportunity for LSU to have the advantage, finally, in the trenches, getting the run game going, finding some creases, maybe even hitting a couple of home runs through the ground and pound attack there with Caden Durham and whatnot. In the secondary, they've got one guy you really got to know. Jaden Voisin is, I believe, how you pronounce his last name. He was first team All-Sun Belt last year. He's got a pick, a couple PBUs, and he plays strong safety. So he'll probably be roaming around, be all over the field trying to contain this very explosive and high-powered LSU passing game. Now, a couple other things about South Alabama defensively. While they may not have a lot of sacks, they get a lot of TFLs. Like 7 or 8 different guys had multiple tackles for loss. So it seems like they do defend the run game pretty stringently. The question is, will they stack the box like other teams have and let LSU slice and dice with the passing game or not? They're supposed to allow 27 points per game this season when it's all said and done. So it's not really supposed to be that good of a defense, but it is a great offense, and that's why Phil Steele has South Alabama projected to be a bowl team at the end of the season. So this is not a pushover at all in South Alabama, though I will say this. Since 2012, this program is 1-6 against SEC teams, and this is the first meeting against the Tigers. Now, the spread has kind of moved a little bit. I think right now it's settled at 20.5 points. And if I didn't know anything about LSU the first 4 games of the season, to me, that would be like, okay, I kind of like LSU to cover that spread. But time and time again, I've gotten up in front of this microphone this year and told you, hey, LSU's going to cover. They're going to put together 4 quarters. They're going to find a way to win this game and cover the spread. And the 3 times that I predicted they would do that, they have not done that. Something else, South Alabama in the last 12 years, 10-8 against the spread as a 3-touchdown dog. So depending on where you're looking, you might have that 3-touchdown, 21-point spread versus 20.5, but they've been good in games where they're supposed to get blown out and not compete. So I'll say this, 20.5 LSU's favored by. I don't think it's responsible to get up here and take them after they failed to do that in the previous 3 sequences where I've tried to pick them as the heavy favorite. And typically LSU's been good as a heavy favorite. Before this season, they were 5-0 as a 3-touchdown home favorite, and they've already failed to do that twice this year in UCLA in the Nichols game. So I'm not going to take LSU to cover this time. On top of that, I don't know what this defense is going to look like. I mean, one half, you see coverage busts and touchdowns for the opponent. The next half, they actually buckle together and put together 2 quarters of good football. But I don't know which version of that defense we're going to see. Plus, Harold Perkins Jr. out for the season with the torn ACL. We have not seen what this defense looks like without Perk on the field yet this year. How's that going to affect the pass rush? How's that going to affect when they have to roll 3 linebackers out there and they have to stop the passing game? How will that affect a guy that can spy the quarterback? Usually Perk is kind of your spy, right? Or Whit Weeks or Major Burns. How's it going to look there? Too many unknowns for me and too many knowns as well. The knowns being the times that LSU hasn't covered this year as a big favorite. So I think South Alabama is going to give them a good half. I think the Tigers do pull away in the second just like UCLA and win by something in the neighborhood of 14-20. I think my score prediction was 34-13-ish. And I know what you're thinking, oh, well, that would mean that they would cover. That was yesterday. Now the spread has dropped a little bit. So I'll give you 31-13. LSU wins this game. I think that they do handle business in the second half, and who really cares about the spread at the end of the day? This is a game, you get in, you improve, you work through the kinks without Perkins, take the bye week, and then it's all chips to the middle of the table for Ole Miss in a couple weeks. So LSU wins, they don't cover, but I think the Tigers, just like UCLA, put together a good second half to pull away. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next week.